Yo, back with more Ace Attorney, Great Ace Attorney, sorry. Accidentally, I was trying to tab out after the last recording, and I ended up continuing the one line ahead here, where we left off, so it's the line right after. Unnecessary in what way? I had to thank the student lawyer, really. Here's where we left off, right here, simply because it was unnecessary. I have a piece of evidence here that I had completely forgotten about. This photographic print. The print is of a photograph that I thought would be prudent to take immediately after the shooting. As you can see, it clearly shows Miss Brett's handbag. Yeah, I see something else also. I see, like, a burn mark on the victim's hands. This was definitely not something that we saw before. Well, I never. You can see right through to what's inside. That's right. Apparently, meshwork bags like these are the height of fashion in London at the moment. So the contents are clearly visible. Exactly, so there was no need to search the lady's handbag. If there had been a gun inside, it would have been immediately obvious. Ah, as you can see, there's nothing to imply Miss Brett's guilt here. Thank you for helping to prove that, Naruhodo-san.
I'm dead. Kazuma, kill me. End my life. You have a sword.
Inspector Hosonaga, you will submit that print as evidence at once. Certainly, Your Excellency. Has been entered into the court record. I think I accidentally entered auto. I think you've... Oh, never mind. I think you've had long enough to cross-examine the witness, counsel. The court has now been shown considerable evidence. As the photographic print just submitted into the court record appears to have no further significance, I am satisfied that there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling.
Indeed, and there is only one logical conclusion. That the pathetic rookie slumped over the bench before us is the only possible perpetrator of this crime.
No. Just when I thought I was beginning to turn things around, I'm in a worse situation than I was at the start. Kazuma? I'm sorry, Inosuke. Now that the cross-examination of the witness is over, there's no way to force the trial to continue. What? You mean this is it?
I must say you put up quite a fight for a rookie student. But the weak are meat while the strong eat. You are wasting your time. There is no way to defeat true justice. A fact you can chew on to your heart's content from the inside of your cell.
This can't be happening. Am I really gonna be found guilty of a crime that I didn't commit? And Kazuma. His dream of going to study in Great Britain will slip through his fingers. Kazuma. What? Is there really no chance now of turning this trial around? You heard the judge. There's nothing about the last photograph the detective produced that we can contest. Which means there's no basis on which we can argue for the trial to continue. Very well, I will now proceed immediately to the ruling.
It seems we'll be able to report to the British government on time after all.
That smug little... Ryunosuke Naruhodo, having considered all of the evidence. I was about to speak there.
Wait, Your Excellency! I want to see what he was saying. I hereby find you.
Oh shoot, wait, nope, not Otto. Ryunosuke? I don't think you can rule on this case yet.
Objection!
This amateurishness is getting tedious. When His Excellency deems that the trial is over, he gives his ruling. That is the most basic protocol of the courtroom.
Yes!
Yes, I understand that. Your Excellency, just a moment ago you said this.
As the photographic print just submitted before appears to have no further significance. I really like his pose now. This is a new one. My man's thinking long and hard about this stuff now that he's backed into a corner. It's some nice, like, very subtle development of his character already. There is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Now, that means that if there's a problem with the evidence, some significant detail, I mean, then ruling on the case at this time would be out of the question.
Objection!
This is blatant straw clutching. Look at this photographic print. All it shows is the handbag the gentlewoman was carrying on the day in question. My apologies, you are not a man, you are a woman. There can be no problem with this evidence.
You better know what you're doing, Ryunosuke. I understand your objection, counsel. Certainly, the new evidence submitted by the detective has not undergone the court's scrutiny. However, I fail to see how we can glean any new information from this handbag.
Oh, I don't think we can gain anything from the handbag, Your Honor. But I do see something on the right side here that catches my eye. Ha! My thoughts exactly. Really, the prosecution is becoming tired of this rookie's desperate wheezes.
Yes, I am desperate, but this isn't a wheeze. This is a wheeze. There's something about this photograph which just doesn't seem right. If only I could put my finger on it. Oh wait, I can point. Very well, I will grant the defense one final opportunity.
What?
But be warned that if I am unsatisfied by your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect. Damn, that is a very threatening thing to do, just smacking your hands with your gavel, being like, I'm running out of patience here. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Your Excellency. So, take another look at the photographic print Inspector Hosonaga submitted before. You will identify for the court, in this print we see the significant... For the court, where in this print we see the significant detail to which you have alluded. Man, I wonder. Oh, it's actually cool how the text moves, depending on where you're pointing. Well, I can tell you exactly where it is. It is right here. Huh? Oh, I have to press R. Whoops.
Yes!
Look at this here. This very unusual mark on the victim's wrist. That is true. Looks almost like a burn of some description. Oh my gosh, I think I just got it. Okay. So, they said that the victim was shot from the front, right? And assuming Miss Brett was sitting on the other side of the table, then that would mean that the victim must have originally been facing a different direction. right? Because I think they said somewhere that this lady was sitting on the opposite side of the table or something like that. And the reason I mention this is because that burn mark is on his right hand. And if he was turned around, if he was turned 180 degrees from how he currently is in the photos that were taken, then that would mean he was facing towards the table. And that burn mark, I'm pretty sure I know what it's from. I think it's from the plate of steak that was on the table. And if that dude... Well, the thing is, Wilson must have burned his hand on it. And I feel like if it's a burn that left a mark, he would have had his hand on it for more than just a moment. So I think he was shot to death, and then his hand fell on the plate that was still hot, and it ended up searing that mark into his hand, and then he got turned around or something. But the question is, how would that have happened? Because it was said that that after the bang happened, the two witnesses and the inspector looked over. So I don't know. That's just me throwing out a theory out of nowhere.
Attention!
Dear me, I was pondering what new piffle you would come out with. The burn, you say, on the victim's wrist. Clearly this has nothing whatsoever to do with the magnificent lady's handbag.
Yes, that is a burn mark, you're right. Go on, Inspector. The police coroner also noticed it when he was performing the post-mortem examination. It was deemed unrelated to the cause of death, so he didn't note it in his report.
What did I tell you? In any case, we have no idea when the victim suffered this burn, do we? No possible way of knowing either.
The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of this mark. However, as Prosecutor Ouchie points out, unless a firm connection to the case can be shown, I cannot allow any further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn. Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem Miss Brett had a lunch appointment with the dean and the other university staff. Has a lunch appointment. Oh man, she's trying to run. She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now. You are not going anywhere, little missy.
Oh, of course, dear lady.
No, you frickin' simp. Hold your horses. What's your thinking on this, Ryunosuke? Do you believe this burn does have something to do with the case? To be honest, I'm not really sure. But if I don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So I was thinking I should keep digging in the hopes that I might uncover something useful. Yes, you're right. I am? If we can just link that burn to the case. If we can do that, we might be able to prise this shutting door back open again.
Just give up, Counsel. You can't possibly hope to do that.
Indeed, I'm afraid that without evidence, I can't allow you to pursue what is more than conjecture. But if we had evidence... evidence that irrefutably linked the burn on the victim's wrist to the case, then you would allow it. I would, yes. To tell the truth, I hadn't noticed that burn. But as soon as you pointed it out, what I did notice was the color draining from Miss Brett's face. Really? I have to find some link between that burn and the case. This is the moment of truth. It's time to find some evidence that proves what that burn really means. So then, the defense will now present its evidence to the court. The evidence that demonstrates an inextricable connection between the victim's burns and this trial. Okay. So I can think of two things. Or maybe not. Oh, no. Nope, actually it's only one of them. This one. Right here. Right there. This thing right here. The answer is my attorney's badge.
Yes!
Oh wait, my university collar pin, sorry. The victim's burn is clearly rated in this piece.
Then explain to the court in 5 words or less what the nature of that connection is.
Well, it's obviously,
Thank you. 5 highly illuminated words.
it actually is 5 words. Well, it's obviously, it's 5. I mean, he's not wrong, that was 5 words. What?
As I suspected, the rookie student is bluffing. Again.
I'm not bluffing. Probably. Ow, my health. You've been burned there yourself, Ryunosuke. Sorry. But hey, at least the scar will look cool, yeah? I do really feel like I've seen the shape of that burn somewhere before, though. Court record, yada yada, carefully. Yes, I will. Okay. We got the funny. Now we get the truth. We got our funny stuff out of the way. Yep, 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 yep. Yep.
Yes!
What's this, Counsel? Yet another print. Yes, Your Excellency. I believe photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at a scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, things we may have overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore.
Do hurry up, rookie. What are you trying to say?
I love this theme.
To inconvenience this poor lady any further really would be quite inexcusable.
Actually, we made you stay us with a little wire, if you don't mind, Miss Brett. See, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have that unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What? How?
Objection!
I really do like his objection, actually. I mean, granted, it's like one of the only two we've heard aside from Kazuma.
You can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy. If that's your game, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean.
But in this photograph, it explains the reason for the victim's burn. Babu.
Yes!
The beefsteak.
Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak was served on. The plate? Oh!
Your Excellency, are you alright?
As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. Oh hey, it has its own little what do you call it? Icon? Whatever you call it. I would guess it's some sort of trademark of La Carnival. Oh! This emblem on the plate. And the victim's burn. Are exactly the same shape. Oh, the music. Doom, doom, doom.
Ah!
Ryunosuke, you genius! You're spot on. Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at the restaurant. Oh.
Objection!
But even if that is the case, we can't know if it happened on the day in question or not. Could have been the day before, or the day before that. It most likely happened at some other unrelated time.
Well, Sorry, I had to pause the recording for a sec. The cat is currently on moth killing duty. There's one in the room. He's currently watching from a high perch, trying to pinpoint its location.
Objection!
Sadly, Prosecutor Ouchie, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks.
Why?
The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosonaga? I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster, certainly.
But
I would say, looking at the picture of the wound, that it wasn't suffered very long ago. And although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined, as the defense just pointed out.
like I said, he probably died and then his hand was laying on top of it or something afterwards.
This was no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade, a burn like that would have taken around 3 seconds. It's inconceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain then. I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I've not heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter at Le Carnival, I can testify to that without hesitation.
But you're a detective, not a waiter!
Yes!
There you have it. Something isn't right here.
As the detective said, anyone who burnt themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain.
There's no question of that. And yet Inspector Hosonaga never heard the professor scream. Not on that day or any before it.
That's right. And the strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either.
What are you suggesting?
Well, if the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day.
That would be beyond careless, I think, Counsel.
Then the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the sergeant, and the old antiques dealer, all of us would, without any question, have heard him scream. Wouldn't you agree, Prosecutor Ouchie? Well, yes, I suppose.
So the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? I almost don't believe it. Ryunosuke, do you think... Can it really be true? I never dreamed we'd arrive at a conclusion like this, but... I'm starting to think that maybe... we've been led into a terrible trap. There's only one explanation if I can think of it to make sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question, when he suffered the burn to his wrist, Dr. Wilson... Well, I'm pretty sure it's the third one, but let's go through the funny ones. Yes, the professor, being as absent-minded as usual, was unaware of his hand falling onto the piping hot plate and didn't even notice the burn happening. You didn't even know the professor, and yet here you are labeling him as a bumbling scatterbrain. How about I hold your wrist on a hot plate and we see how your bumbling scatterbrain copes? Perhaps the scream you let out will wake you up a bit. Well, it's nice that there's this frankness developing between us, partner. Don't call me partner after coming out with nonsense like that. Oh shoot. This is a critical moment. It may very well be our chance to turn things in our favor. So come on, Ryunosuke, you can do it. Or rather, you have to do it. You're the only one who can. There's only one explanation I could think of. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, I got it. Obviously, he was asleep. Duh. Yes, the professor, with his tendency to nod off. was asleep when his hand fell onto the piping hot plate and didn't even notice the burn happening. You didn't... I thought it was the same line. You didn't even know the professor, and yet here you are labeling him as a dim-witted dozer. Hmm? How about I hold your wrist on a hypoponus so you can sleep through it? Perhaps the scream you let out will wake you up a bit. Okay. It was similar, but not the same. Interesting. Okay. Was already deceased. No man could remain silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. That's clearly impossible. Apart from in one particular situation. Counsel, are you suggesting... Yes, I am. It's only possible if the man was already dead.
Already?
Dead? Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beef steak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day. Huh. The professor was already dead. So he was dead before it was brought to his table? How? He died of a gunshot, yeah. Wait a second. Hold up. Court record. Death occurred a little after 2 p.m. and was caused by a loss of blood from a gunshot to the chest. Doesn't say it here. But if my memory is correct, at the start, near the start of the trial, they said that the post-mortem report is just like an examination of the body. They don't do like a legitimate autopsy where like they open up the body to find out anything. So it's possible, if that is the case and that actually comes back later, because that feels like something that will come back, because it's not called an autopsy. It's not called an autopsy report. It's called a post-mortem. So, here's my thought. What if he didn't die of a gunshot wound? What if instead... I don't know what he could have died from. Well, he drank water, right? They said that he had carbonated water. Maybe he was poisoned? Because that wouldn't make any... He wouldn't make any noise if he was poisoned to death. It would certainly make less noise than a gunshot, at least. I don't know, that's just some wild theorizing. Could go nowhere.
That's madness!
This is Sparta! Order, please. Counsel, explain this absurd notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot.
That's right, that's absolutely right, Your Excellency. This is just another ridiculous ploy by the rookie student. But clearly he has no grasp of the facts.
Objection!
No, Prosecutor Ouchie. It's you who has no grasp of the facts.
I beg your pardon?
As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered that burn while at the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet?
Yeah.
Your Excellency, the court must hear from this witness again. If it's true, as we now believe that the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard, it's highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it. Incredible. I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, but you will have to forget your luncheon engagement.
But, Your Excellency...
The justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I am prepared to pass judgment.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
This judge is a Chad. Said it once, I'll say it again. Hello there. Hi. What was that smile?
Yes, of course. I mean, I'd be delighted to help. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours.
Okay, so she can speak like a normal person. I guess she isn't just an alien. I assume she's speaking Japanese now in the original. Yep, everyone is shocked.
Miss Brett, you speak Japanese.
Yeah, okay.
Well, of course I do. I am studying in your country, after all.
But then, why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now?
My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar tones as much as possible.
Listen, lady, I'm just gonna say it outright. English is by far the least refined language I've ever known. Like, listen, we've got more curse words than you could ever imagine.
But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen. So I can see that I shall have to lower myself to communicating with you all on your own level. Oh, well... You are the epitome of a true English gentlewoman.
Yeah, sure, gentlewoman. Very gentle.
We are truly honored by this lavish consideration you so graciously afford us.
I see. In that case, Miss Brett, I will now ask you to testify in your own words about the events leading up to the death of the victim, Dr. Wilson. So, we're finally gonna hear her words on the matter. Finally gonna hear the words from the horse herself. Things are getting interesting, Ryunosuke. What do we got? Witness testimony. The victim's death.
Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burnt his wrist like that.
Yo, this music! This theme is banging, yo!
When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot.
Yeah, but as I said earlier, it's post-mortem report. They just take a look at the body and examine it, don't they? God, this music's so good. I can't get over it. This is my favorite track so far.
If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway.
Okay. That most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in the Supreme Court's history. Thank you. Easy does it.
I hope that is the last time I will have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue.
Honestly, I think Japanese is a pretty beautiful language, honestly, but whatever.
Oh, forgive me, I do hope I haven't insulted anyone.
You've insulted everyone in this courtroom, but they're probably not going to say it outright.
Not at all, not at all. It is a delight merely to hear you speak, dear lady. And it seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant.
I will be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what has happened here today.
The Minister of Justice?
May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen. Huh? Thanks? Was that a prayer, then? Well, you have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brett, and put up with a cross-examination now. I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much. I'm sure I don't need to remind you, Counsel, that this will be your final cross-examination in this trial. If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness's testimony, I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is this clear? Crystal, Your Honor. Oh? You're okay there, man. I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be like a sign of psyching yourself up or something like that. Good animation. Any new animation, anytime there's like an Ace Attorney character and I get to see a new animation, I go like, ooh, that's real cool. Yes, Your Excellency. Then you may proceed with the cross-examination. I had a checksum in there, sorry. Cross-examination. The victim's death. Fortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burnt his wrist like that.
Yes!
Now we shall press that statement. But his hand was on the searing hot plate for at least 3 whole seconds. You can't not have noticed. Do you think so? Let me ask you something. Sorry. Ever since I resided this courtroom, and even still now, the fly on those unsightly black trousers of yours has been wide open. You cannot have noticed, can you? Huh? Whoa! What fun. You hadn't realized. The dear lady is absolutely right. As your friend, you've embarrassed me as well yourself, Ryunosuke. I'm not gonna sing because I'm too cool for that. Why didn't you tell me? Dr. Wilson was a true English gentleman. He chose honorable silence over a vulgar scream. Can your tiny brains imagine such a thing?
Oh yes, I think my tiny brain can.
Yes!
Well, I can't. Anyway. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast.
Yes!
As you testified before, you were drinking carbonated water, is that right?
Dr. Wilson was only permitted to drink water at that time, if you remember. Which explains why he ordered that drink. Correct, waiter.
Exactly as you say, sir. Oh, sorry. Forgot the accent. Although.
Oh, although.
Whether or not the professor actually drank any of the water when I delivered the steak to the table. I'm afraid I don't remember that.
Damn you. I haven't enough English to understand that at least. For the benefit of others in the court, it means bless you.
You know, I imagine that line, the damn you. I think that's something that you're probably not supposed to hear outright. Because, you know, originally this was in Japanese. And so people that wouldn't probably know what damn you means. Assuming that was part of the original script. Like the, what do you call it? The cursive words or whatever were probably part of the original script, I would assume. No reason to translate that. I think it means the exact opposite.
Anyway, as far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot.
Yes!
Yes, it's written here in the paperwork. Fatal hemorrhage from ballistic trauma.
Yes. Luckily for all of us, a little burn on the wrist isn't gonna kill us. And as there were no other signs of trauma on the victim's body to indicate some other cause of death, it can only have been the bullet from your gun that put an end to this innocent man's life.
But it doesn't make sense. The burn must have happened straight away when the plate was first brought to the table by the waiter. Yes, that's true. If it had cooled even slightly, it wouldn't have been able to make a burn like that. And if the victim burned his wrist on the hot plate as soon as it was brought out from the kitchen, then he must already have been dead at that point.
Objection!
And yet the fact is that the victim was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Until you're able to show the court evidence to disprove that, this is a complete waste of time.
I'm assuming things like silencers didn't exist on guns back then. I concur. Prosecutor Ouchie is right. Ah.
Okay, what do we have? 2 more statements? If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me.
Without leaving a trace.
If someone is shot, or strangled, or stabbed, or thrown from a height, however a person's life is taken, there are always telltale traces on the body. Quite right, dear lady. And as our police forces thoroughly examine the body of the deceased, there can be no doubt. Isn't that right, Inspector Hosanaga?
Well, I don't know about that. As I said, poison. Poison is one of the few things that doesn't leave any physical evidence. As I've said, I always aim for a flawless investigation. There would be physical traces with all those causes of death, that's true. But maybe there's some other way of killing someone that doesn't leave a mark.
If, heaven forbid, you doubt me, young man, you're gonna have to tell everyone how exactly you think the professor did lose his life. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls rather flat, doesn't it? Oh no, perish the thought, calling such a sweet young lady's innocence into question. On my honor, I, Taketsuchi Ouchi, will cut down any who dare cast such aspirations.
A way of killing someone that leaves no traces. We need some evidence to back us up here. Yes, evidence.
Well, we got one more statement to press here. But of course, this country's inferior investigation techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway.
Inferior investigation techniques?
Yes!
I just picked up on that. It took me until now. Inferior? What do you mean by that?
In the land of the Great British Empire, the police store everything found at a crime scene for later examination. But in this country, you investigate once and that's the end of it. Isn't that so? Quite right. Le Carnival is open for business as usual today, just days after the incident.
Exactly, which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost.
You okay there, man? It doesn't even occur to your native detectives to try to preserve the crime scene.
Naive detectives. Is that what it is?
Blah blah blah. It doesn't even occur to your doesn't even occur to your naive detectives to try to preserve the crime scene. I'm trying to be as tactful about this as I can, you understand. Feel her blow. The lady is formidable as she is beautiful.
Amazing. Oh, sorry. I thought that was Kazuma because it was showing him. Amazing. He's actually admitting our police may be flawed. Perhaps Prosecutor Ouchie is finally starting to see sense. I very much doubt that. Still, there's something about what Miss Bread just said. There was a moment before when something didn't seem quite right. What do you think, Ryunosuke? I think it's going terribly. No matter how much I press her, it's not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected, she's a tough witness. We need to find a way to break her testimony, or the cross-examination will be over. But that would mean I have to find a way. There must be some clue somewhere to help us find a chink in her armor. Kazuma. What, Ryunosuke? There is one thing I noticed, something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Brett? No, not her, not her. Actually, no. About the person sitting next to her, Inspector Hosonaga. The detective. Yes, he seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. I was wondering if it might be significant. If it might present an opening, maybe. Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing her on that last statement one more time. If you think so, but this time, instead of targeting the woman herself, let's see what we can get out of the detective. Alright then. I wonder what Kazuma's thinking. I'll find out soon enough, I suppose, once I press Miss Brett on her last statement again. Alright.
Yes!
Skip ahead until we get to what we need.
Wait.
Okay. Now what do I do? Yes, there it is again! Okay, so what do I do? The detective's reaction is just the same as before. Why? Up until now, the detective has been in the stand with Miss Brett as her interpreter. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the English woman has to say. This could be a golden opportunity. What do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find they often let their guard down. You're right, look at him. He's lost in his own thoughts. It's time to pursue the man in his train of thought. Sorry? Pursue? I'll explain how to do it now, Ryunosuke. It all has to do with the witness marker. What marker? At the moment, we're focused on Miss Brett, who's the person actually making the current statement. But by moving the marker left and right with A and D, you can turn your attention to other people in the stand. What the hell do you mean A and D? Is that like some type of cold brew they make in England or something in the British Empire? No, I'm talking about something that you won't understand, and neither do I, really. It's something only someone outside of this game can understand.
What do you mean, game? This is real life.
Anyways, you can catch the person at just the right time. You might uncover some new information to pursue. If you ever notice a strange atmosphere amongst the people on the stand, take a good look around. Alright then, so at first I should move the marker across with A and D, whatever that is, and focus on the detective. Then pursue him with space and see what's on his mind, I guess? Here we go.
Exactly, which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction,
Wait.
vital evidence may be lost.
Whoop, 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 whoop. Oh, interesting. It actually has like a unique little thing at the bottom left there. Hold it right there.
Excuse me.
Excuse me. Oh, what's the meaning of this? Oh. That dude's dying. I wasn't expecting that out of nowhere. Just the, excuse me. Can I, like, replay that or something? Oh, I want to replay that. That's the first time I've gotten to hear that line. Oh, well. Well, since he is... Well, we caught him off surprise, I guess. In the next episode of Great Ace Attorney, we'll go and see what he has to say on the matter. Adios, ciao, and bye-bye. Signing off until next time. Ja, mata ne.